Is it the cat in the bag? Or is the cat the bag? I don't know. I'm just a hand puppet. But there's a guy right behind me. He's a very skilled ventriloquist. And he's about to make himself known. Are you ready? It's me, Malcolm Tent, here on Tent Talks Tunes. Yay! All right. Well, we are having some difficulty. Wait, I'm not the hand puppet. I'm me. We're having some difficulties here trying to figure out what's going on with the live stream. When I go live, I see that there is no stream on my page. I did this once before. So, and I'm seeing no viewers. But when I click on my Facebook page, it brings up what I was streaming, even though it said it wasn't going out live. There's some weird technical glitch going on here right now, and I don't know what it is. So I'm going to hit the refresh button again and see if we can get some results. There's like a really weird lag going on. All right, apparently now I am live. And Harry is live. Okay, so we got Alan, we got Adam, we got James Pogo. We're talking about Satan's Frisbees. Yes, it's me. Not Harry the Cat Handbag Puppet. Nope. It's me. Woo! It's been quite a struggle getting on the air today, but we're here. So thank you, everybody, for showing indomitable perseverance and the fighting skill that it takes sometimes to be a viewer on the internet. We are making it happen. Per in Sweden is seeing it here now live. He's seeing the ultra adorable Harry the Cat Handbag Puppet. Oh yes, bag, hand, puppet, whatever. It's here. Now, why am I waving this thing around? If y'all tuned in a couple of weeks ago, you probably know the answer, but I might as well tell you that it's official after a long time in the works. Hello, Wesley. Good to see you there. I'm going to put the hand puppet down. John Ross, hello. After a long time in the works, the Harry the Cat CD is officially out on my fabulous label, TPOS. Yes, this took a long time to get done, but it is done. Check it out, Harry the Cat on CD. Professionally made, full color, 4-panel CD wallet. Just chock full of adorable pictures of Harry the Cat, including him wearing a princess outfit, which he was not very happy about, but he was dressed by a 12-year-old girl, and no one's going to argue with a 12-year-old girl. So it's 65 minutes of Harry. You hear him purring, you hear him snoring, you hear him grooming, you hear him eating. It is just the most adorable fucking goddamn thing ever made. And leave it to me, the head honcho of TPOS, to do it for you. So, you know it, you need it, you want it, you gotta have it. Every order of Harry the Cat, whether it's on CD, cassette, or 8-track, does come with a full kit to where you can make your own Harry the Cat bag hand puppet. Yay! How's that for value for money? This was designed by none other than TPOS recording artist Pissy Chrissy herself. So you get not one, not two, but three TPOS recording artists with one purchase. You get me, you get Harry, you get Pissy Chrissy, either directly or indirectly. So be sure to check out my various TPOS web presences, eBay, Bandcamp, and Discogs. Harry is to be found on all three, all wonderful, all rockin'. Yay! All right. Thank you for your service, Harry, the bag hand puppet. I'll put you over here to rest for a little while. And I'm surprised that Harry hasn't made an appearance yet in the flesh, in the fur. He didn't last time I was on either. Maybe he's getting shy in his older age. I don't know. Maybe he thinks the CD can do all the work for him. I don't know. Stars are so temperamental. Well, I was not here last week, as some of you guys noticed. which was mildly sad, but the reason was very good. It led directly to the hot topic of this week's Tent Talks Tunes, which I will be addressing forthwith. But first, of course, you know, we got to check the bulletin board, we got to check the mailbox, we got to see what's happening out there in the so-called real world beyond the confines of this thing that we call the internet. Bulletin board, little bit quiet this week. We only have a couple of events coming up, but man, are they events. The day draws nigh. And when I say nigh, I mean capital N, capital I, capital G, capital H, as in nigh. The day draws nigh for the Rule Breakers Ball. Yep. 2 nights of wrestling-infused and inspired mayhem. Bad guy wrestling, of course. No good guys. We don't do good guys. In Spartanburg, South Carolina, at our home away from home, Ground Zero. September 19th, September 20th. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 10. 10 bone-crushing, leg-breaking, forehead lacerating, rule-breaking bands. Friday the 19th, we got Taped Fist. We got Future Hate. We got Knowledge is for Fools. We got Before I Hang. And we got Rancid Vat. Each one of these bands would be a headliner in their own right. Especially when you consider that Taped Fist doesn't play out very often at all. Future Hate. Sightings on the East Coast are rare. Knowledge is for Fools. They're from Raleigh, but they're going to bring it no matter what. Before I Hang, another rare East Coast sighting. And shall I say it again? I will. Another rare, and maybe at the same time well done, East Coast sighting of the great Rancid Vat. These bands do not play this shore very often. So that's five great reasons to get out of bed that morning and drive, fly, take a train, take a plane, do whatever you got to do to get to Spartanburg, South Carolina. And since you're there, you might as well spend the night at one of Spartanburg's fine lodging houses and catch the show the next day. You're going to see and hear, oh yes, you're going to see and hear Sweet Georgia Brown, The Wrath of Typhon, Self-Made Monsters, Josephus, and the Georgetown Massacre, and of course, headlining the whole mess, the almighty Anti-Scene. And I'm not going to be a spoiler, I'm not going to reveal any surprises, but I'm going to say that we do have some surprises for our set that night, Saturday the 20th of September, which is only 3 days before my 61st birthday. How's that for cool? I like to spend my birthdays every year playing a gig. And it doesn't always happen exactly on the 23rd of September, but 20th is close enough. So it's kind of my birthday gig as well. So more feathers in the cap, more reasons to get out there and shake a tail feather. We have a question from James Pogo. Did you ever see when Ox Baker was on The Price is Right? Man, James Pogo, this is God's honest truth. I saw that while it was being broadcast for the first time, live on television or pre-taped or whatever. If I remember correctly, it was in the summertime. It was summer school. And me and my brothers, we loved The Price is Right. We always watched The Price is Right. And we all just kind of went, ah, when we were watching The Price is Right. And Ox Baker with a name tag saying Doug Baker. He was on The Price is Right. We couldn't believe it. It was too cool for school. It was incredible. And I wasn't sure if I'd hallucinated the whole thing. My brothers say that I didn't because they saw it as well. And of course, years later, the clip started appearing on the internet, on YouTube specifically. And I was like, God damn. There it is. Ox Baker on The Price is Right. One of the greatest cultural moments in the 20th century. It really, you don't scale the heights like that very often at all, if ever. Yes, so I saw it and I have seen it many times since. Yes, sir. Let's see, we got John Ross wondering if there's going to be possibly a cover of Flower Punk that evening. You know, John, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have over here, just out of reach, but still tantalizingly close, the brand new Anti-Scene 12-inch EP, Anti-Scene Time Machine, which does indeed feature a version of Flower Punk by the Mothers of Invention. It does feature a version of The Beat Goes On by Sonny and Cher. It does feature a version of Sunset People by none other than Donna Summer herself. And it does feature a version of New York by the Sex Pistols. Now, as to whether or not any of these songs are going to be played live on September 20th, all I can say is you gotta show up and you gotta find out. That's the way it's done in Destructoville. And of course, this is available for sale. And I want to thank everybody who came out to the gala record release party we had last weekend at Repo Record in Charlotte. It was a lot of fun 2 weekends ago. A lot of fun. Thanks to Jimmy for hosting it. Thanks for everybody who came out. And thanks for everybody who bought a copy of this fine, fabulous platter. Another Anti-Scene product that I'm very proud of and that I stand behind. What else is going on? Well, looking forward to November 15th. We've got the Danbury Record and CD Expo. I will be traveling to Danbury for this event since I am the co-host of the event. I will be set up with probably three tables full of records, tapes, CDs, videos, TPOS product, and whatever I can drag up there in my minivan. And I'll be there also with probably somewhere between 25 and 30 other dealers, all selling cool rock and roll related stuff. So November 15th, Danbury Record and CD Expo. And something I don't have printed matter to show you, but I will be in Morganton, North Carolina tomorrow for the Downtown Morganton Art Crawl, in which artists kind of take over the city, and you can go from location to location and check out the art. Excuse me. I will be parked in front of Green Eggs and Jam, my number one favorite culture shop in Morganton. My good pal Stacy Peak runs it. We will have a pop-up tent. We will have a big long table. I will have copies of My Misadventures with Gigi Allen, which I'll be happy to sign upon purchase. I will have copies of my Women of Devo book of sexy photography. Oh yes, I do love the female figure, and I do love taking pictures, and I do love Devo. So I have two, this is one of them, 2 books of Devo photography. And Mark Mothersbaugh himself from Devo gave it the thumbs up and wrote me to tell me about it, which is pretty darn cool, and gave me permission to use his blurb on this book. So I'll have those 3 books. I'll have a Sharpie ready to sign. I will also have a fine selection of TPOS products. I will, of course, have, you guessed it, the Harry the Cat CD and the 8-track and the cassette. So that's tomorrow, downtown Morganton from 5 to 7 p.m. Be there. Don't be a cube, Rube. All right. John Ross says that the Time Machine is one hell of a slab of vinyl. John, you are totally correct. You are 100% right on that. T. Kadef is tuned in. Hello, Mr. T. A man who purchased the Harry the Cat CD, and I'm going to assume is extremely happy because I did not receive any angry mail. I received no denunciations, so I'm going to assume that the Harry the Cat CD and cassette passed muster at the Kadef household. All right. We got a few things in the mailbox. This is, of course, my mailing address. Malcolm Tent, P.O. Box 173, Newton, North Carolina, 28658. Any and all submissions to keep my mailbox full are welcome. This is from my good pal Chris Iconicide, who I've known forever and ever and ever. Chris is a good guy. He is a lifer in the New York City punk rock scene. Bands galore, documentarian, artist. The dude does it all. And he sent me a big old envelope full of stuff. Let's take a look at it. I just used the 2 mile scissors to open it. Let us open the envelope and see what's in it. Lots of printed matter. I love printed matter. Printed matter is so much fun. The internet definitely has its uses, but the physical interaction with printed matter and things that people make and stuff into envelopes can't be beat. All right, okay, here we go. We got an Iconicide sticker, which will be sported proudly on some possession of mine or another. We got an Iconicide flyer. There's the website, iconicide.com. Visit it early, visit it often. Oh, look at this, buttons. Oh man, yes. Love buttons. Buttons are so cool. Who in this planet does not love punk rock buttons? I'm going to put this one on right now. I'll put this one in the middle on because it's high contrast and easily visible. This too is, what is this? Is that a Shrinky Dink? Or some modern variant thereof? I don't know, but I like it. Okay, Iconicide. Going on the shirt right now. The Brown Mountain Lights Festival shirt for 2024. I should mention that Anti-Scene is playing the Brown Mountain Lights Festival this year in Morganton in October. Put that on your calendar and study it. And a huge variety of Iconicide stickers. This is great. This is what punk rock is all about. Punk rock to the max. And oh, like fridge magnets. Fridge magnets. Come on, guys. Fridge magnets. You gotta love the fridge magnets. Chris, thank you so very much. You have culturally enriched me yet again. And anybody out there who's watching, check out Iconicide. Here's the website again. If you like punk rock, odds are pretty good you'll dig Iconicide. Now, I got 2 envelopes here. Mentioning again, TPOS recording artist Gary Forney from Iowa. 2 envelopes from him. He said one was a surprise. And since I don't know what is in either of these, they're both surprises. So let's find out, shall we? Let's grab the aforementioned 2 mile scissors. Let's tamp it down a little bit to make sure we don't cut open the contents. T. Kadef says that he is very happy with the Harry release. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Thank you. On behalf of Harry, I thank you. On behalf of the pet food department at the local grocery where all the money goes, they thank you. What do we have here from Gary Forney that is a surprise? Well, we have one thing that got mailed to my old address. Here's the new address, so we can avoid these mishaps. And so we, let's see, open one, open another. This is kind of like an enigma wrapped in a mystery, embellished with a riddle. But we're going to get there. We're going to peel away the layers, and we're going to see exactly what is in this envelope from Gary Forney from Iowa. TPOS recording artist. Always a treat, because Gary is one creative guy, and he's always cranking out stuff. And you never know what form it's going to take. Let's see, what is this? A 45 RPM lo-fi mono hand-cut record. Whoa. Gary, you are speaking my language. This is the kind of stuff, when it comes to physical media, man, 45 RPM, hand-cut by Gary Forney. Really, Gary? Whenever I think that Gary Forney can't surprise me, he comes out with another trick from his deep bag of tricks. The Devil Took Me, one of the classic Gary Forney and/or Pumpkin songs. Gary, we got to talk about this. I want to know how you made this. I am very... Wow, look at that. Look at that. That is really interesting. I haven't even heard this thing. I'm in love with it already. We got a white one, and we got a black one. Wow. They got their own labels. Signed, it appears, by Gary himself. This is what makes record collecting so much fun. I mean, record collecting is fun no matter what, but this makes it really fun. Gary, if you're watching and if this is available, please post links because the people need to know. I will definitely be playing this in the very immediate future. Gary, thank you so much. Don't forget that Gary's got several releases on TPOS, all of which can be found on my Discogs, my eBay, my Bandcamp. Write to Gary directly. He's my friend on Facebook. He's easy to find. And support a real, genuine, original artist. Really cool. And one more from Gary, as if that wasn't enough. Holy cannoli. That already made my day. Hey, there's Gary. Gary says he bought a lathe. No way. That, man, I'll tell you. I've always a little bit nervous about lathes. I've always really wanted to do my own hand cutting of vinyl, but it seemed to me like the process was very labor intensive. How is it, Gary? Is it as labor intensive as I feared? Please tell us more. I want to know, and I think the viewers want to know, because the science and the skill of hand cutting a lathe record is, it's an art. It's really an art, and I totally support it. So we're going to get this. As you can see, we had some mishaps with the mailing and everything. But I did eventually get the stuff. T. Kadef, who did purchase a Gary Forney square hand-lathed record, says he likes it. He likes it. Hey, T, he likes it. And here, look at that. 4 more brand new songs from Gary Forney using the latest technology, AI technology. Three-Eyed Boy, we recognize. Hush, Hush, and Hello, I do not recognize. Nothing in Hand. Don't know if I recognize that one or not. I should, but I don't. Gary, thank you so very much. These will all be listened to. Everybody out there, round of applause for Gary. Thumbs ups, hearts. The man is an artist. Show some love. I'll drink to that. All right, that brings us pretty much up to date here. Let's talk tunes, shall we? Gary says, not too hard, but one at a time, bent over each record. I can imagine. And you have to listen to every song every time you cut a record. So you might hear the same song 150 times, you know? Good thing you like your stuff. If you're a fan of your own music, that's fine. All right. The meat of the matter. Did somebody say meat? That's right, Harry. Meat. Yum. I disagree with that because I'm vegan. The meat of the matter is that I recently hooked up with my pal Adam in the great state of Georgia, and we consummated a transaction in which I drove away from his home completely unhindered, unmolested, and fully allowed with my vehicle full of what was his CD collection. And I got to tell you, I had so much fun going through those CDs and sorting them out, putting them on the racks and everything, and deciding, oh, what am I going to keep? What can I part with? What do I need? What do I not need? Whew. Difficult questions. Very difficult questions. Still wrestling with them. I'm still grappling with these deep, deep issues. It's the dilemma that one faces when one is a full-time record seller on Discogs, eBay, and Bandcamp. Just saying. But it's a fun dilemma, because in researching whether to keep something or part with it, I get to hear a lot of great music, and I get to get my hands on a lot of really cool physical media. And I just grabbed a completely random stack of discs that sort of caught my fancy, that made me want to talk a little bit about them. Because we know every album's got a story. Intent Talks Tunes is all about the stories behind the albums and the music. Well, first thing that was hard to ignore is there were a lot of Zappa CDs in this collection, and I was able to fill quite a few gaps in my Zappa CD collection. And I want to talk about CDs just for 1 second. The CDs as a format. Anybody who knew me back in the 90s would be shocked and aghast to hear me say anything positive about CDs. For the longest time, I waged a one-man war, a one-store war even, against CDs. Because the 90s, in a lot of ways, were a very dark time for lovers of analog media, especially. The major labels were on a total rampage, doing their best to stamp out vinyl as a viable medium. And they were actively trying to replace them with CDs, which at the time were far more expensive than they are now, far less reliable as a medium, and sounded a lot worse. I mean, you can almost hear any CD from the 90s with a blindfold and know exactly when it came from because it sounds so harsh and so tinny, and all the audio is brick-walled. It's like everything louder than everything else, no subtlety. And when you consider the warmth and the naturalness and the beauty of vinyl, to anybody who had something other than cloth ears, there just wasn't any contest. It was vinyl all the way. Not to mention the sheer greed involved in trying to force CDs onto the marketplace as a replacement for vinyl, and the absolute cynicism with which it was done. So I never liked CDs. I never liked it at all. I never liked any kind of digital technology either. And I'm not going to say that I love CDs. I love vinyl. I love cassettes. I love 8-tracks. I love reel-to-reel tapes. But it's gotten out to where I like CDs. I like CDs. CDs are okay because they have become what they were originally intended to be and what should have been all along, which is an affordable, portable music medium. You know, the fact that I'm actually manufacturing CDs on my label, to wit, Harry the Cat. Back in the 90s, an independent operator like me could not do something like this. I could not make such a product. It was just cost prohibitive. There was no way an independent guy could manufacture a CD. You got to remember, at one time, you couldn't even home make a CD. There were no such thing as CD burners. There was no such thing as blank CDs. It was definitely an exclusive format run by the music industry. And I'll say it again, it was overpriced. But it's come down now to where it's affordable, it's viable, and digital audio mastering has come a long way. Digital manufacturing has come a long way. So it's still, in my humble opinion, not as good as vinyl. I can only take so much CD listening, especially at home, before I get ear fatigue, which does not happen with records or tapes. But they've become tolerable and viable. And as such, I don't mind them. So yeah, I collect CDs, and I mentioned before that the real turning point was when I got my first vehicle that had a CD player in it, which was a 95 Subaru. And everything I had up to then was cassette. Now all of a sudden, I have a CD player in my dashboard, and I'm a guy who does a lot of driving. And you will never catch me listening to mainstream media. You will never, ever, ever hear any of that within shot of my ears. So you got to play something, and it's going to be CDs. So that's my stand on right now. CDs and I have reached a condition of détente. And they're fun to collect, so I collect them. And there was one particular CD by one particular artist, which has been the subject of controversy for a long time, and that is Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, a.k.a. Cruisin' with Reuben and the Jets. That's the band on the front. That's Rubin himself on the back. If he looks familiar or maybe reminiscent of somebody else, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. This particular album generated a lot of controversy because at some point, I guess, obviously before he died in the 90s, Zappa decided to re-record the rhythm section, which is to say new bass and new drums. Why? I don't know. He never really offered a good explanation. One of his engineers said that he simply had stumbled onto the technology to do it. So he said, why not? Let's do it. Let's start re-recording all the rhythm sections on these albums. And they did it with We're Only In It For The Money and this one. And I read about it being done with one other Mother's album, but it was never released. Never finished or never released. But this one, and We're Only In It For The Money, for a long time, were only available with the re-recorded rhythm section. Now, I had the intense displeasure of hearing the We're Only In It For The Money re-recorded version, and it was terrible. I make no bones about saying that one just flat out sucked. The digital drums and digital sounding bass did not fit in with the original recordings at all. It stank. So I never kept that one for sure. So I was still morbidly curious about what the re-recorded Rubin and the Jets sounded like. And if I'm not mistaken, I read somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, this, I believe, is still the only version of the album you can get. That might have changed, but for a while, for a long time, this was the only version you could get. The public outcry was so negative about the We're Only In It For The Money that it was eventually reissued in its original superior form. But as far as I know, this is still only available with the re-recorded rhythm section, which, having listened to it, believe it or not, is not that bad. It's honestly not that bad. In fact, you might be hard-pressed to tell the difference between one and the other. I was really expecting it to be overly digital sounding and overly clean and, just overly sterile the way that the other one was, but it actually fits in fairly well. So this one gets a cautionary thumbs up. I haven't played the whole thing yet, but so far the signs look good and sound good. So this will be going into the personal collection, Cruising with Rubin and the Jets. There he is. Here's Rubin himself again, along with some other guy who's looking away from him. These Ryko discs, fantastic. Ryko was a very classy label in the 90s who did really, really high quality reissues of many, many great catalogs. Zappa being one of them, David Bowie being another one. They put out some cool Devo stuff. Really good label. I believe they spent themselves into oblivion, though, and no more Ryko, unfortunately. Let's see, we got some comments from T. Kadef and Chris Iconicide. Don't know anything about an unreleased Zappa of him playing Verace. I don't know, that'd be very interesting to hear, because Zappa was a total slave to Verace, as we all know. And Chris Iconicide is talking about the very first CD he ever heard, and it was Sheer Terror. Whoa. Crazy, huh? Sheer Terror. What a gateway into the world of digitalis. Here's a fine, fun thing. People out there might know that one of my favorite bands, amongst many others, is Kraftwerk. I do love me some Kraftwerk. And Adam had some really cool Kraftwerk CDs in his collection. This is one that I did not have, and this is the CD single of Trans-Europe Express. It's got two versions of the song, and it's also got two versions of Showroom Dummies. What makes it interesting is that it's got the French language version of Showroom Dummies, which is Le Mannequin. That, my friends, is obscure as all get out. And Kraftwerk were, in the purest and most benign sense of the word, internationalists. They recorded many songs in many languages, obviously English, obviously German, but also French, Japanese, Italian, Spanish, and maybe a couple others I don't even know about. And being such a fan of Kraftwerk, I've really tried to track these down whenever I can. A lot of the foreign language versions are pretty obscure. And I do have a 12-inch single, which has Le Mannequin on it, but never seen it on CD. Now I've seen it on CD. Now I know I'm going to take it home with me. Well, home being right here, it's staying right here because it's Le Mannequin. The one that I'm really curious about, there is an Italian language version of Pocket Calculator, which they performed on an Italian TV show. Could never find an answer as to whether or not that was ever released, pressed onto vinyl properly, or if it was just a one-shot thing they did for that Italian TV show. And it also makes me wonder what other languages Kraftwerk recorded songs in, besides English, German, French, Japanese, Italian, and Spanish. I mean, that's 6 right there. That's a lot of languages. Kraftwerk, die Menschmaschines, the men machines, we love them. Here's a real hobby horse for you. Oh boy, we're diving deep into the nostalgic realm here. When I was a wee lad, sometime around the ages of 5, 6, 7, even earlier, I was extremely fortunate to have been exposed to a lot of great rock and roll. My father had a very good record collection. He had everything from the Beatles to James Brown, everything from the Supremes to Wilson Pickett, everything from Creedence Clearwater Revival to Al Hirt, whatever. But lots of good rock and roll. Rock and roll radio was excellent at the time. WQAM in Florida, going into Y100, 103 She. It was impossible to get away from good rock and roll or soul music or whatever, just good music. And my next door neighbor had an older uncle who had the Beatles' White Album, and he also had this record, which I loved. In a Gadda, Vida, baby, don't you know that I love you? In a Gadda, Vida, baby, don't you know that my heart is the truth? I love this song. I love it. Unrepentant, unashamed, in a Gadda Vida. Man, this is a monumental song. And even the album ain't too bad. It's got 5 other songs on it. It's got one clunker. There's a song called Flowers and Beads, which is really contrived. But Most Anything You Want, great tune. My Mirage, good tune. Termination, really good tune. And one like genuine 60s classic. And this one never gets any ink, but it really should. Are You Happy? The last song on side 1 of the original vinyl. Killer song, no matter how you slice it. And of course, In a Gadda Vida. And look at this packaging. I mean, you see, CDs are good for a few things. I don't know if you can see the lenticular effect on this. If it's really going to show up on the camera or not, but it's like a 3D lenticular cover. And you've got the full color slipcase and the big old booklet. It's fun to collect stuff like this. Now, mind you, hearing 3 versions in a row of In a Gadda Vida is not necessarily a treat to the ears. Yes, it's a great song, but do we need the full-length 17-minute version and then the 3-minute single version and then I'm going to tell like it is, really lousy live version of it? I think not. But hey, that's why the skip button was invented. Either way, the package is great. And I would be remiss in my duty as a collector to let this one out. So this one's staying home in a Gadda Vida. It'll be in the car very soon. Next time I have to take a nice long drive. But I'm telling you right now, one version of In-A-Gadda Vida, the title track, is enough. Enough, I say, enough. Adam Zisser is saying that, saying that when he was thinking about who would enjoy his collection, the only choice was me. Thank you, Adam. I really appreciate that. And I am enjoying this collection immensely. You know why? Because of stuff like this. Because of Clark Kent. Now, being a child of the 80s, like really coming of age in the 80s, I was obviously perhaps a giant mark for the Police. Police never put out a bad album. I don't think they ever put out a truly bad song. They've got plenty of songs I don't like, but they're all good. And part of the mystique about the Police when they first started out was how they were, you know, a less than sincere punk rock band. They'll be the first to tell you that they jumped on the punk rock bandwagon in 1977 and used it as a springboard to make their own music. And they, even in spite of that, you know, considered or perceived cynicism, they still like really embraced the DIY ethic and got into the sense of humor of punk rock. And so Clark Kent, who is officially, like on record, officially not Stuart Copeland of the Police. This is officially not Stuart Copeland. But Clark Kent somehow figured into the Police mythology. And when I saw that he had a 10-inch green vinyl EP at my local record store, I of course had to buy it. Because I love the Police. And this guy who's not Stuart Copeland was still, you know, somehow connected to the Police. Great record. 8 songs on the record. CD, my friends, has got 14. Oh, man. 6 extra tracks. This is one area where CDs do prove their worth. The bonus tracks. Bonus cuts. I mean, these things have 80 minutes of playtime. It only makes sense to fill them up, right? So you get all kinds of bonus cuts. So you got the 8 songs on the original record, a couple of B-sides, and 3 unreleased tracks that don't appear anywhere else. James Pogo, here it is, man. It came out on CD. This is the proof. Here's the evidence. As you can see on the back, that is definitely, it's not Stuart Copeland. Absolutely not Stuart Copeland. Let's see if there's any other photographic evidence of... I would, well, it's kind of hard to tell, but I would definitely say that's probably not Stuart Copeland. Yeah. Great stuff. Great listening. A really cool footnote band in the story of the Police. Not Stuart Copeland. Now, seeing these 2 discs side by side on the shelf really, really made me open up a spirited debate that I have with myself. I finally came to a realization. And this is after years and years and years of soul searching, of intellectual struggle, of just pure emotional reaction, years of trying to wrap my head around this particular issue. And I finally had the epiphany that I was looking for. And a lot of it was helped by seeing these 2 CDs side by side. I looked at them and the light went off over my head. CD number 1, Kiss, Destroyer. CD number 2, Kiss, Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits. I've talked before about how I am of the Kiss generation. If I came of age in the 80s, I did my growing in the 70s. And of course, if you're a pre-adolescent, going into adolescent male in the 70s, the odds are really good that you were into Kiss. Kiss, oh Kiss. Now, Greg Schmidt's tuned in right now, and Greg's got an opinion about Kiss. Oh yes, oh yes. Greg, I finally understand it. And you're not going to like this. Coming of age, being a Kiss maniac, not necessarily a full-fledged card-carrying member of the Kiss Army, but if I'd gotten around to sending away for the Kiss Army kit, I would have been. Kiss. I mean, come on. Ace, Gene, Peter, Paul, sometimes Eric. You can't touch them. They were brilliant. They were genius. They rocked. I still love me some Kiss. But it always caused me a lot of tension, anxiety, uncertainty as to why I didn't dig this Kiss. Like, I tried. I tried really hard. I tried for years to like this Kiss. Gene, Paul, and or Vinny, and or Mark, and or Bruce, and or Eric Carr, and or Tommy Thayer, like whatever. I could never wrap my head around this. And I tried. I listened to every single post-makeup album that there was. I've played every one of them. I've listened to the bootlegs. I've watched the live videos. And I finally just had to come to the conclusion that I just don't like this era of Kiss. And I know now exactly why. I know exactly why. I can tell you why. I can finally quantify why I don't like the post-makeup Kiss. You ready? Is anybody out there ready to hear the nature of my giant-sized epiphany that took me years to finally come to? I'll wait a second. See, for me, this is very dramatic. You know, this is because this is a thing I've really, really tried to come to grips with for years. Almost my whole life, you know? Why is it? Why can't I do this? I don't just mean smashes, thrashes, and hits. I mean Animalize. I mean Revenge. I mean Hot in the Shade. I mean Crazy, Crazy Nights. Why? You know why? Because the fact of the matter is, Kiss evolved into a band, and you cannot fault them. They evolved through circumstance, naturally and organically. They evolved from a band that I loved into a band that I just didn't like. They play a style of music that I've never had an affinity for, that I've never cared for, that I just don't like. And if it wasn't for the presence of that logo on all those albums, Animalize, Crazy Crazy Nights, etc., if it wasn't for that logo on those albums, I wouldn't have even tried to listen to them. You know, because you take one look at a band like this. I don't like bands who look like that. I just don't. I don't like bands who sound like that. I just don't. But it was Kiss, you know? I mean, it was Kiss. It was the band of my childhood. It was the band that made some of the greatest albums in rock and roll history. Just trying to wrap my head around it. And I just couldn't do it because it was simply a type of music that I don't care for. And I don't begrudge anybody who likes those albums. I don't begrudge anybody who likes any kind of music whatsoever. If you like it, then it's the best music ever. Enough said. No arguments. I'm not going to sit there and try to convince you otherwise. But for my set of ears, I just can't do it. It's Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley playing a form of music that I just don't like. And it's kind of sad because I love Kiss so much, and I'm still really interested in the history of the band and the personalities and the various trajectories they've taken. And the fact that there are albums like this. I mean, I'll read about the making of this album for hours. I'll read a book about the making of Crazy Crazy Nights because of the history and the personalities. But damned if I can listen to it. Can't do it. That's it. I finally wrap my head around that. Applause to me. Yay. Greg's got a comment. And well, you know, and actually Greg summed it up very well. They changed the world and then they followed trends. That really does sum it all up. And that's outlined in, gosh, what book was it? I think the book written by Chris Lent, who was their accountant slash business manager. He said that really was their strategy throughout the 80s and 90s. It was kind of like, what would Motley Crue do? Okay, we'll do it. And, you know, it is what it is. They made the music that reflected that. I've always thought, and I didn't mean to get off on a Kiss tangent, and this just shows you that even though I don't like the music from that era, I'm still fascinated by the band and the history of it. I've always thought that if Kiss had ever shaken off the need to be the biggest, loudest, most garish band in the world at all times, if they've been able to adjust their expectations and adjust their presentation and be satisfied with being able to sell out a 2,000 or 3,000 seat venue, or even a 1,000 seat venue, and just be a band, just naturally be a band instead of just continually trying to be the biggest, the loudest, the hairiest, the scariest, the flashiest, when nobody really wanted that. They could have just gone out and been a band and had a great career. But instead they just spent these years spinning their wheels trying to be the Kiss of the 70s or the Motley Crue of the 90s or whatever. They just could never settle into a groove where they could just live within their means. And it really does make you wonder how history would have changed if they had. Just thinking, just speculating. Checked out this one, Extreme, Pornograffitti. This record is dollar bin filler everywhere you go. I've seen this record in so many thrift shops and at so many flea markets and in so many cheap bins. I couldn't help but listen to it because I would never pay $1 for it. But if it's in my lap, I might as well see what it's all about. What made this record so popular? How did it sell so many? Why is it in every thrift shop ever? Why is this record practically the whipped cream and other delights of the 20th century? 21st century even. Why? What is it? What is it? Well, this morning I put it in the CD player and I found out. Got to take a drink of water here. I'm getting all stressed out with my larynx because I'm so emotional about this stuff. My opinion, my analysis, first thing I heard when I listened to this record was, guess what? 80s Kiss. Yes, sir. I heard plenty of 80s Kiss in this record. I heard a fair amount of Led Zeppelin in it, and at least one of the songs, I couldn't tell you which one, but there's like a total Zeppelin groove in one of these songs. And what I heard was very well done, very competent, somewhat imaginative style of music that I just don't like. It's good for what it is. For what it is, it's very good. I would never say this album sucks because it is actually really good. It's well written, well played. I hear a lot of cool guitar tones. The vocalist is kind of limited, you know. He sort of does the best he can with what he's got. But the production is tasty. It's got all the hallmarks of a good product. A very good product. And maybe the guys in this band even liked the stuff that they did. I don't know. I would hope to think that they did. But would I pay $1 for it? No. Will I admit that it was good for what it is? Yes. So that's a long-standing mystery that has been cleared up. Thanks to my pal Adam in Georgia. One more completely underrated, unknown gem that I found in the collection, which is going to get a lot of play. Y'all know I love the B-52s. Maybe you love the B-52s. I'm actually going to see the B-52s in a little while, October somewhere. It's B-52s and Devo on tour, yes. Gonna go to Charlotte and see that show. We also know that a lot of times solo albums are a very risky venture. They can be hit, they can be miss. A lot of times they are miss. But there's one solo album which I fell in love with a long time ago and was very happy to see in the collection. And that is the second solo album by Fred Schneider of the B-52s, Just Fred. This album rocks. This album totally kicks ass. This album is like a modern-day version of a beatnik poetry reading. It's Fred Schneider, who is anything other than a conventional singer, basically doing this really cool, fun, funny, avant-garde poetry on top of some really raging 90s alt-rock. It's great. There's not a bad song on this record. This is really, really good driving music. And I think this record probably sold 15 copies when it came out. It definitely just came and went, which is a real shame because it's a fine, fun record. There's Fred is the Fred then, Fred now. Really cool. Happy to find this, and it'll be finding its way to my CD player post-haste. On that, you have my word as the host of Tent Talks Tunes. That's about it from me, gang. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to me ruminate and prognosticate about upcoming events, about my various business enterprises, about my grudging like for the compact disc format, and of course for my incredible skills with ventriloquism with my Harry the Cat bag hand puppet. Yay! If all goes well, I do expect to be back in about 167 hours with yet another exciting episode of Tent Talks Tunes. Until we meet again, this is Malcontent saying so long from the Tar Heel State. Yay!